This is at the end of the day, some person that's worked their tail off, like you said, to build this business or, gotten it to where it is. And it's time for them to have a payday. And how can you guys make this a win-win on terms? And I can just see how this could be super fulfilling and a really cool business activity.
This is the Passive 25K podcast, a podcast built around the vision of creating wealth through passive income for ourselves and others. The idea of creating income while you sleep seems like a dream come true, but for most professionals, turning this into a reality is a different story. On this show, you will hear real people breaking passive income streams down to the basics, giving you the next steps to start your own passive income journey. If you're new to the show, my name is Kyle Reedstrom from Fargo, North Dakota, where I get to work with my team of agents and investors each day to complete our goal of $25,000 a month in passive income. Now, let's get right into our next conversation.
This is the Passive 25K podcast with Kyle Reedstrom. We are the home of Passive Income University and cash flow coaching if you're looking for that one-on-one. We help working professionals with one source of income start and complete their passive income journey. And you guys, if you haven't created your vision yet, if you haven't put that finish line out there that you're looking at, if you don't have a specific place you're going, we want to talk to you. Click the link at our website, p25kg.com. There we go. And if you're looking for next steps today, we'd love to talk game plan with you. But today we get to talk about an awesome episode we're calling Freedom Through Your Online Business with all the way from New Zealand, Sophie Howard. Sophie, so glad you're on here.
Thank you, Kyle. Looking forward to this a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, Sophie, I really want to give you a chance to introduce yourself to our audience. But like I said, you're all the way in New Zealand right now. You started in 2013 with Amazon business, which you sold for $1 million. Awesome. And now you've got a killer book out there, Freedom Navigator, all about buying a business online and how that can be the fast lane to financial freedom. So I'm going to let you take it from there. Tell us what else, but I think this is such an intriguing topic.
Yeah, well, thank you for the intro and the opportunity to be here. So I'm Sophie Howard, and I've been running online businesses now for, this must be year 10, so double digits. So pretty happy to have that under my belt. Some days I was tearing my hair out and, that day job looks great, because as an entrepreneur, things do go up and down day to day. And the more you can steady things up, obviously, the better, and the less ups and downs, and the more predictable the cash flow, the better the life gets. So what I've always been doing is trying to sort of maximize profit. And I started that by sourcing products internationally and selling them on Amazon. And that went really well. Did that for a good few years, probably 5 years, maybe 6. Sold a couple of those businesses. And that was really liberating, by getting rid of the mortgage. And a bit of confidence that, what I was doing wasn't just valuable on a cash flow basis to the Amazon customers, but actually I'd built a real business that was valuable to someone else who had systems and a team, and I was quite proud of it. So it was very nice to collect the dollop of cash and a basic retirement check, but it was also really nice to have created something from nothing, and it felt really good. So I did it again, built and sold another one. That was a tea business the second time, and it was on a subscription model, and that was really good because the multiple of selling a business gets a lot higher when there's recurring revenue. So thought about these things, and then with some coaching, lots of people wanted help with Amazon and Kindle publishing, which is another thing I'm doing a lot of. But partway through the Kindle journey, I wanted to learn about fiction publishing. I could figure out the nonfiction myself from what I knew about products and what I knew about Amazon. The nonfiction ones I outsourced to ghostwriters, and it's like a product. But the fiction thing was a whole mysterious dark art of creative writing and things I knew nothing about. So I actually bought a business that had a team of writers, a profile on Amazon, cash flow on Amazon. And I just bought that business and got to inherit the team and the standard operating procedures, just like the businesses I'd sold. I could see what a good bundle the people buying my businesses had bought. The work was done. And when the boot was on the other foot later, I was quite happy to pay to buy one, just to have that fast track through to a finished, working, profitable, neat, fully trained team, awesome business. And it's running great now. So I thought, well, that was quite easy and fast, and it's profitable, and it breaks even after a couple of years. then I thought maybe I should look for more. So I bought a newsletter, and that was a bit more expensive, but really great cash flow. That makes 90K profit a year. And I do nothing. It came with the lady who operates it on a contract basis, a few hours a day for her, and we collect the checks. That's nice too. And then I've done about 20 more. I'm up to sort of high 20s of buying online businesses now. And it's been a real blast. I, touch wood, haven't had any go wrong. Some have done a lot better than expected. Some I've bought and basically just held on to. And some I've bought and have grown and made that payback period down to a year or less. And I'm actually looking at a deal today. I've got sort of into the last round of negotiations with the vendor. The asking price was valued at 110K, and we're about to settle on 65 with a vendor finance package. So the payback period, I reckon, will be about a year. And it's a nice, neat little, interesting recurring revenue business that somebody else built, and I'll just buy it. So it's obviously needs a little bit of risk taking to buy something up front rather than build it. But actually, there's a ton of risk on building from scratch as well, much higher failure rate of a brand new business than an up and running one. And financially, you've got to have something to put in. But surprisingly, these vendors are generally really generous with terms of payment, not just the asking price, but the actual, way you pay it off. So we've got pretty creative with that. And it's meant I can do quite a lot of deals. And so that's what my new book's all about, being able to buy online businesses as a source of instant cash flow. And it's been really, really fun.
Wow. Sophie, you just said a lot of things that I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, one of which is the 20 plus online businesses. That's what you said. You're now in the 20s with how many businesses you bought online.
Yeah, actually, this one I'm doing today might click it over to 30, but I'm not very good at counting those things.
Okay.
The bottom line if the net profits all added up, but not the number of deals, but I should double check. But yeah, it's well into the 20s, maybe 30 now. Some big, some small.
And I mean, the thing that you jumped into naturally was the benefits of buying an online business. I think immediately my head goes and says, well, you're buying a business. And the funny entrepreneur side of me goes, well, it's kind of like you're buying a job sometimes, right? Especially if you're buying something that needs work. Maybe it's not exactly where it needs to be as profitable as possible. So it's like, oh, Sophie Howard's going to inject herself and have to do the heavy lifting. But on the contrary, you're saying like this newsletter one, for example, and I love examples.
Yep.
You just bought it and it runs. I mean, do you even have to take a leadership capacity with this, or is it just...
Absolutely nothing. Once a week on my Skype thread, the lovely lady who's actually in the States, she pings me a message on Skype with the total profit for the week, every week. And so basically people using that newsletter, it's kind of like a daily deals. One, they pay up to $160 each. They the clients booking themselves on a link on the website. They pay on PayPal, and then they upload their offer. It all happens by, the customer does all that. We hit send on the newsletter every single day with all those offers in. We've got tens of thousands of subscribers to that newsletter, which the vendor built in their time. We keep growing that a little bit passively, but all I do is collect the paychecks. So I think the asking price for that business had been 410K. That was the biggest one I'd ever looked at. I didn't think I was going to buy it, but we got the price down to 280. It came fully managed. It runs like clockwork. It's zero time. It's a really nice add-on to my other portfolio of businesses. It's sort of not on a different platform. It doesn't need any tech skills. It doesn't need anybody running Facebook stuff. It's really, really low maintenance and really profitable. So 90K a year profit to me is a really good buy, I reckon, for that investment. So it pays itself off in sort of two-ish, 3-ish years. We've grown it a bit. We've cut some expenses, and it's been fantastic. Love it.
My head's spinning right now, Sophie. Is this like, it seems like it can't be real, but at the same time, I'm connecting the dots. This person built this from the ground up, or maybe multiple iterations of people had owned it and passed it along. And that's a big payday for someone too, to sell a business for 280. Like that was a good day for them. Less than 410, but 280 is awesome. They exited onto whatever they're doing now. Sophie Howard now is the owner, true shareholder in this. I mean, it's like You're doing your thing. And why not? You know, what's, you know, why, yeah. And then this is why you're almost knocking on 30, right? Is there just an aspect of unfamiliarity people have with this? Is it because, or maybe I'm just coming from North Dakota in the United States and I'm just the one that's behind the times here, right?
Well, I think it's not an obvious track because the world of entrepreneurship is so celebrated. You know, it's the American dream. You know, people want to create something and do it themselves. But frankly, I'd rather just have a slam dunk and it's super easy and all done for me. But I get to that same endpoint faster, which is having a profitable, working, low maintenance, highly functional business that I own fully. Don't want to have business partners or investors behind it. Just want clean deals, the cash flow positive on day one, nice short payback period. And I think the things that have made it less obvious, or people think they couldn't do it themselves, would be they think they need tons and tons of cash to get going, but that's not true. You can start really small. You could buy $1,000 one, which is still not nothing, but you could start really small with some little WordPress content sites, add some advertising, add some affiliate links, grow that. You can also get lots of arrangements with the vendor to finance it. You don't need all the money up front. You can sort of pay it off through the earnings of the business. There's a lot of people who just want out of their businesses. They want to retire. There's dozens of, well, millions probably of baby boomers who are looking to get out of businesses they've built and run for decades. So there's lots of businesses for sale. So it's definitely a buyer's market. And then the tech side of things, well, I look at a bunch of businesses every single day, and most of them I don't want to touch because I'm not techie enough to run them. So I keep clear of, you know, here's my Silicon Valley software startup with a team of developers, and we've got these features, and here's our marketing plan, and it's for sale. I don't touch those. I don't want developers. I don't want to keep building anything. I don't want to have to run some software or manage a team of developers fixing it and tweaking it and adding stuff. I just want sort of a finished product or service, always digital, so I don't do any physical products, and just keep life really simple. So all the websites are all on WordPress. So I've got one person in my team who looks after the tech side of things, so adding the new content, which we outsource the writing of. And then I look for deals that kind of pay back quickly, not too big, not too small. I've kind of got my zone. The one I'm looking at today is sort of in the mid-60s. US. So that's not too scary for me when I've seen it return sort of over 3K profit a month. It's a really nice size deal. And it comes fully managed, it's fully built, it's total turnkey. And there's just so many good deals out there that there's more out there to do than I could ever possibly do, but different niches and depending on your background and your interest. There's one I looked at the other day that was, the numbers were fantastic, but I'm just not that interested in men's health for some testosterone thing or whatever it was. So I'll pass on that. But for someone else, it would be a great subject for them and they'd be really interested in it. And they could just sit on it and hold it, or take it on and grow it, double it. You know, there's potential to double that one. I just wouldn't be interested enough in the subject to throw myself at it. And I don't want to be hands-on really myself, not buying any doer-uppers and not renovating broken ones. And I don't even plan to unsell them. I have obviously sold businesses. I'm very lucky in New Zealand. We don't pay capital gains tax if you sell a business here. Whew. So even in Australia, which is generally the same as us, they have, you know, various stamp duties and capital gains taxes, and the UK does, and the US obviously does as well. So no inheritance tax or anything like that here. So it's sort of financially better for me to build them and sell them, but actually I just want a nice lifestyle now where I buy them and hold them and have a portfolio. So of the 20 odd, a lot were very small, a couple were quite big and chunky. The average size would probably be around about 100K, and I'd be looking for that to return 30 or 40 or more K a year profit. And I only buy ones I don't need to put any of my time into. So
yeah,
kind of criteria on the business model. I don't want to buy something that needs social media. I don't want to buy anything that runs on paid Facebook ads or YouTube ads or Google ads. Don't want to deal with customers. So I don't want to have a busy inbox that comes to me. And there seem to be plenty out there that meet those criteria. Sort of a shortlisting exercise rather than looking around trying to find something exercise.
Yeah, I'm definitely hearing your filtering process here. And I'm also hearing you're following your interests and curiosities and maybe even skill set more than like, hey, I'm going to get into something that I'm not that aware of, right? Which Yeah. And that makes, I mean, that makes natural sense. The question comes up, which maybe you touched on this with your book. Again, the book here is Freedom Navigator. And towards the end of our episode, I want to tell people where to find that, because I'm sure that this is where you gathered a lot of your information that you're sharing with us right here and put it in one place. Where are you looking? Is this part of the secret? I don't even know what I would do naturally, Sophie, is I would go on good old Google and I would say, buy online businesses. And, I'm used to the real estate side of things where you're going on a marketplace where all the listings in my market are. Similar concepts, or do you have several sites you're looking at, or do you have a broker even? Tell me more about how you're finding these.
I do all my searching online. I don't have anyone out there looking for me, because I kind of like to know what I'm after, and I like to see what's on the market and the multiples and the asking prices. And I always see and learn interesting things looking at ones I don't buy. There's a couple of quite big marketplaces. The obvious ones are Empire Flippers and Flipper for the sort of size range I do. The one I'm doing today is on Flipper, and really interesting little deal. The last one I did before that was on Empire Flippers. So those are really good options. But there's also a lot of off-market deals, and that's where you tend to get a much better bargain. And there's no middleman, so the pricing's better, but also the broker is working for the vendor and jacking the price up and, really talking it up and trying to get competitive offers in. It's better just to go direct if you can and if you know what you're doing. But I think if you're starting out, stick with the big platforms for your first few deals, because they actually do a little bit of validation of the deals. Unless you know about Google Analytics, and even I don't really know about Google Analytics, or the brokers of those marketplaces will go in and do a screen share with the vendor and check the Stripe payments are legit, and check the Google Analytics traffic's not fake, and check the age of everything, and just double check. It's not the full due diligence, but it just shortlists a bit more quality into their listings rather than letting a whole load of dross get in there. And if you're a newbie and don't know what you're doing, you don't want to buy dross, get caught out. So there's certainly some stuff you need to learn, and there's some best practice on the process, but it's still definitely just process. You don't need to be techie to do this. And the finding off-market deals is a bit more of a sort of a casting around, cold calling, maybe by email, but doing some research and approaching companies that fit your profile. I sent an email yesterday to a business that I'm actually a customer of, and I like it so much I actually wondered if they would sell it to me. I've been trying to work out what their valuation would be, because they're quite big, but they've got a podcast, so I don't know how much of it's sort of monetized well and how much of it's their passion project, but I wondered if they would sell me all their content. So I'm always sort of just playing around with new ideas. I've never done that before, but I did see this one yesterday and that's brilliant business. I really like what they've done. I could do something similar, but I'd rather just buy that one. So I'd rebrand it. I don't like their branding at all. I think their branding would exclude 90% of the people that would like the subject, but the front page of it and even the name of it would make most people run a mile. It's just not appealing. It doesn't have any link to the value of the content. So we'll see what they say. They didn't reply overnight. Disappointing. Anyway, you try your luck and keep moving. So that's what I do. I kind of start with the big marketplaces, get more confidence, get more skills with the assessment and the due diligence, and then you can sort of back your own judgment a bit more going out to deal direct or cold calling approaches. So in the book, I've got a bunch of all the main websites. There's a few sort of roundup sites that specialize in newsletters or SaaS businesses, and that's fine. But really, you need to have your own individual criteria really nailed down before you go shopping. Otherwise, it's like house hunting. If you're going out to buy a property, you need to know which country you're going to buy in. Do you want an old place to renovate and flip? Or do you want a condo on the beach to Airbnb? Or do you want your own family mansion? Or do you want a farm? Everything in between. So you need to know what business model, what budget, bit on the niches, and being a bit self-aware, your tech skills, your entrepreneur skills, your ability to manage a team, or if you don't like social media, don't buy a business that runs on social media. I hate social media, so mine are totally off Facebook, and there's no TikTok over here. Generation too old for TikToking, but other people in my industry have a similar product and do great on TikTok or whatever, so that's all fine, but not for me. So
gotcha.
I come people on this, and everyone chooses completely different businesses. We're all so unique with what interests us and budget and risk and ambition for what you want to do with it. So loads of businesses for sale, no shortage at all. So it's very
and you have such a unique perspective too, Sophie, because you did the front end of this. You were the one that built something from the ground up and then sold it. So it's like you really can trust the process maybe more than some people that are like new at this and maybe walking into they're at a place in their career where they'd want to get into the buying, more passivity behind it, like you mentioned, but it's still very like, whoa, and sometimes for people, the internet equals scams. I mean, one bad experience on the internet and people are like, that's it. I should have known better the whole time. I think cryptocurrency was that for a lot of people. And now it's like, I'm out, right? That's not a business. But
yeah.
I mean, what do you have to say about that? I think of Amazon as a perfect example. There's 100 people out there right now that are saying, make money on Amazon, and they're successful. And then there's 100 people out there saying, I got, scammed on by trying to do Amazon sales, blah, 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 blah. It's such a crazy world to get into,
And maybe, if you believe that everybody's coming from, the best intentions, maybe the people who are saying Amazon's awesome are the people who have done really well. I've sold Amazon advice and I've done really well on Amazon, and I'm still selling really successful ebook stuff on Kindle and still really active on that. And so I would say Kindle's great. But on the other side, I wouldn't actually buy an Amazon FBA business for several reasons. One is you can't really see the traffic and where it's come from. And you don't know what tactics have been used to jack up those product sales. So you get a snapshot of the sales, which are real, but you don't know if somebody spent $1 million on Facebook ads to get 10K profit on the business for sale, but you would then pay 100K or whatever. So I find Amazon business is a bit harder to do the analysis on. Plus, there's some really big boy private equity groups snapping up the Amazon businesses for sale. And I think I'll just leave that one to them. And I know Amazon, if I wanted another Amazon business, I'd build one. But I don't buy physical product businesses on Shopify or drop shipping. I've kept clear of physical goods for lots of reasons. Too long to go into here, but it's all in the book, why I like digital products for these online businesses. Really scalable and no supply chain issues, and a far higher profit margin because you don't have shipping and inventory. So while there's great physical product businesses out there, and I've had them and sold them and grown them and do love them, that's not what I'd buy right now, because I think the digital stuff's just a bit easier to own and operate. I want to keep my staff headcount really low and the complexity really low and the moving parts really low. And once you've got physical products, you've got stocking issues and storage issues and shipping issues and supplier issues. And it's great when it's going great, but there's extra hard costs. And that's best case scenario. That's not, well, our factory's closed for Chinese New Year or whatever else can catch you out, or Amazon's decided to suspend that order, and then the tactics of physical products. You're just sitting with cash flow kind of a bit back to front. You've got to buy the product first and then sell it. Whereas a digital product, you create it once and then just sell it again and again. Copies of that product are free for you and make as much profit for customer one as customer 10,000. So that's good. We like digital. And I like recurring revenue where I can. So any kind of subscription business, the one I'm buying today is a subscription business. And I hope your podcast doesn't go live by the end of today's business day when I've signed the contract.
No, they will not.
Prowling flipper, what is this deal? I better get it. No, it's fine. I feel even if I lost it, we get to some impasse in the negotiations. I'm pretty sure we won't, but there's another one out there. There's always another deal. So I'm quite picky. I probably scan 100 to shortlist 10 to buy one. If that, it might even be scanning more and shortlisting more to get one. It's quite a pointy end of a filter.
Yes.
But my criteria are really clear. So just, the no physical products, the no social media, the no paid ads are really pretty much mostly non-negotiable. And then I really like affiliate income and ad income. And I like older aged sites because you can't fake that Google ranking and the Google traffic data from Google Analytics. That's really gives me a lot of confidence when I'm buying. I need to make sure it's AI proof, so not buying any transcription businesses this week. And I keep clear of speculation, so I'm not doing crypto or anything like that. It's sort of solid quality products or services that are hard to copy, just simple to run. And there's loads of them. So the last business I bought was a guitar site. And I'm not interested in guitars. That's the last one I do where I'm not actually interested in the subject. But I paid 75K for it. And it reviews guitars and amps and other music stuff. And it's got some education pieces. And I've created an ebook to go with it because I know about ebooks, and audiobook of that ebook. So it's a nice little multiple income stream business. I paid 75 grand for it, and it returns sort of 4, 5, 6 a month. On a good month, a little bit variable because it's seasonal with Christmas gifting, holiday season a bit higher. And I'm pretty sure they had a bit of a boost through COVID because everyone was thinking of new hobbies to learn from home. So that one's a really nice low maintenance business with lots of diversity in the income streams. And I do nothing. I do absolutely nothing on that site, just sit tight and collect the income stream. So there's lots and lots of deals out there. And if anybody listening wants some help either figuring out if it is a good strategy for you, or if so, how to go about it, I'd love to talk to anyone. It's definitely a fast track to getting that profitable online business. It's not buying a job. Well, it could be, but one of my criteria is that I don't need to be operational, or my team doesn't need to do anything in it. It has to come kind of pretty much fully managed or turnkey as is.
Yeah. And I'm littering my notebook with notes on just the little filters that you're using, and you can tell that you've built this over time. And I think that that's where a who comes into place with a lot of this stuff, which is someone like yourself that's seen some of this. And I love it. We're going to take a little break, and I want to come back on really, you spoke to a lot of your process, but I really want to try to get to I start here 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I want to get into, some of the mistakes or the things you've seen where you can go wrong with this stuff. I really think that there's people that are maybe ambitious enough that are listening, like, I'm going to go try this. And man, it's just having the experience you can't duplicate, So I want to get into that after the break. Sophie, this has been great so far. We will be right back. Hey, gang. I hope you are enjoying this podcast as much as we enjoyed shooting it. Talking to Sophie Howard really expanded our minds on different ways to make passive income online. Her curriculum with her book, Freedom Navigator, about buying businesses online, we think is a huge next step for a lot of people, possibly to add one of those streams of passive income into your world. And the coolest part about this episode is at the end, Sophie shares that she has a course that you can walk through where she helps you learn how to buy businesses online. And if you click the link in the show notes to be part of that coursework and part of her community, it actually helps us achieve our passive income goals as well through an affiliate relationship. So we think this is awesome. It provides value to what we're doing with the show so we can continue to provide content, and definitely provides value to what Sophie's doing in teaching others how to buy businesses online. Definitely check out that link below, and we hope you take next steps because this podcast is one of our favorites. We are back on the Passive 25K podcast with Kyle Reedstrom, episode 35, and we're talking to Sophie Howard on freedom through your online business. Sophie, real quick, you've been buying these businesses. You mentioned you might just be going over the hump of 30 today, which is cool. And what's your lifestyle look like? I just want to touch on this quick because you now have recurring revenue from the businesses that you're buying that are hitting the criteria that you're mentioning. So, I mean, you're financially free. You're beyond that. You're spending time the way that you'd like to spend it, correct?
Yeah, I'm very happy with my lifestyle. If I waved my camera out the window, actually, I should do this because, I do live in a very cool place. But up there we've got the Southern Alps of New Zealand, and
oh man,
moon setting. It's a little bit of cloud, but there's 3 ski fields within half an hour of my house, so it's a wild winter's morning out there, but blue sky. So I went to an early Pilates class at 8, did this call with you now, and then it's ski season. So I've got a new puppy, so that limits the time I can go skiing for, and I go running, and I've got 2 young children, so they're both really sort of into mountain biking and skiing and very outdoorsy. So that's what we do. Yesterday afternoon, I had a grim slog of maths homework with my son. I don't know about fractional. They were doing this. They teach stuff so differently now with maths. So anyway, I'm helping him with lots of schoolwork. He's really bright, but the local school here, it's very sporty, not so academic. So I sort of try and top up his education at home a bit. So have him on various bribes for Lego for finishing online maths things. Do lots of
Yes,
that.
very good.
Children. And then I do sort of 3 days a week. I do bits of work stuff. I keep the ends of the week clear for me and family. And then I do some coaching calls with clients. I run my ebook business. I have a team call. I've got 3 people in my team. So there's a lady, the 3 others are in New Zealand, actually. They're all part-time. One does all the tech stuff. One does all my kind of finance stuff. And I've got some properties, and she does all like the property management, admin, and gets all the accounts ready for accounting stuff, does all my bookkeeping, coding, sends out all bills, pays all the freelancers. So I don't manage anyone direct apart from that sort of weekly team meeting, and we kind of dish up who's doing what there. We just run everything off Skype. This used to be my daughter's bedroom, so I work from home the whole time. Try and travel when I can, but the puppy has put an end to that for most of this year. And used to do tons of traveling, which was a real luxury. And then a few years without travel during lockdown years. And then a big trip last year, went to Jamaica and went to a conference in Vegas. So I try and sort of stay current with what's happening in different types of business. So at the moment, I'm really interested in kind of what AI is doing to content sites, because I've got quite a lot of income related to what's ranked on Google. And so make sure I don't drop off a cliff if something changes or I'm not following best practice. So I have a coach myself. So that's a Wednesday call. And then I have a very full inbox of things I subscribe to and try and read and stay current on. And I really enjoy business. I read a lot of books and podcasts, and there's so many easy ways to learn now. You don't need to go to a 5-day conference in the States to find people. They're all online. They've got books, they've got podcasts. There's people like you sharing guests and their messages and different opportunities and best practice for this, or who you need to know to learn about that. Yeah, it's fantastic. So I feel really plugged into the world, even though I'm in the middle of nowhere, at the bottom of the South Island of New Zealand in the mountains.
No, that's really neat. Thank you for bringing us into that. And I found a lot of value in just understanding different ways, because a lot of people that are listening are on their journey. Like I said, they're starting or they're in the middle of their journey to get to this place of financial freedom and lifestyle goals. We truly believe that once you can achieve time freedom, you would just have enough options to do the things that fascinate you, which a lot of times are family, travel, exploring, and interests, and I hear a lot of that in what you're saying, Sophie. So getting back to the freedom through your online business, buying these businesses, if you had, and this is the engineering me, a former engineer into real estate entrepreneur here in the last 10 years or so, if you had a 12-step process, I love those, right? Check boxes going down, start us from step 1. If someone's listening to this and they're saying like, oh my gosh, this stuff Kyle and Sophie are talking about, this is it, I need to go next. Walk us through how you're kind of getting into this, and I'll let you go with that.
Okay, cool. So first, probably read my book. It's not too hard. It's not massive, but it just steps through lots of real case studies, my process, and you'll kind of get the big picture of what it all looks like. Well, if you like my approach as well, I'm obviously not ex-Wall Street, and I'm not going shopping with somebody's private equity fund. I'm doing it at a small scale compared to those guys. But possibly what the level I'm doing it at might look big and scary to you. But I also started at a really small level doing this. So that's the first thing, find the right people to follow who are at your sort of scale and you like their style. So then if you think the concept of owning a business rather than building it, just fast forwarding to buying it, you want to do a bit of self-awareness on your skills and your strengths. We've got a little profiling quiz that helps figure out partly your strengths and skills, but really which business model that would then mean is a good fit for you. So if you're not data driven, don't go and buy a business where you're scanning paid ads, metrics all day, trying to scale something financially with dollars for bidding on keywords don't do something you're not naturally good at. So some self-awareness and figure out the best business models for you. And if in doubt, start with a content site a WordPress content site that has ad revenue and affiliate revenue. That's sort of the safest, lowest tech, easiest one. And then it goes way up from there. And they can even be big ones, but that's a nice, neat model to get your head around first. And there's lots for sale as well. Kind of like a blog or something, buy a blog, somebody else, years of work, just monetize it. And then The next thing is to make sure you've got some kind of systems in place to migrate the business over. You've got the right tech platforms to communicate with your new team. You've got ways to collect money like Stripe or PayPal. There's a little bit of setup if this is all brand new. But I suspect most people doing this have either had a go at building their own business, or they've built a business, or you've done something before. It's generally, this sort of strategy, it does sound more advanced. It doesn't necessarily need to be, but it seems to me the people that join my program are a bit more advanced, either career-wise or have had some entrepreneurial experience of some sort. Shouldn't need to be, but that just seems to be who turns up. You need a bit of confidence to back yourself to buy these things. So we do a whole bunch of mindset on that point, because, if you never do anything, nothing ever happens. We all know that. But the day where you actually have to wire money to the other end of the world to buy a business you've never seen, to pay someone you've never met, it's pretty scary. So what we do in the program is teach you, after you've got your criteria, how to go out and approach the businesses for sale, how to talk to the vendors and the brokers, how to ask those good questions that get the real information, not just the prospectus of the good bits and the highlights, and then how to negotiate. So I love the negotiations. I have really good fun with that. I get a really good rapport with the vendor and really enjoy getting a good deal for both of us. I don't beat them up on, criticizing their business. And, the way I do it seems to be working really well. It's a much softer approach than the private equity guys would go in and just smash them or take them to court once they've understood all their trade secrets and try and break them. There's some horrid behavior out there. So I try and assume I'm going to want to do another deal with them in the future as well. So those negotiations, really, you need good price, but also good payment terms, a really good handover, all the assets transferred easily with lots of help, lots of training and onboarding and getting you all set up. And I always stagger the payments, so the whole thing's not released until I'm completely happy and everything's up and running and I'm collecting income from the business. So that transfer, it's sort of building goodwill, but then also just helps you set things up quickly in the right way. They know way more about it than you at that point. So getting them on board, helping you. And then what I like to do is kind of 100-day plan on how to grow the business. Although sometimes I plan to buy and hold it and do nothing, there's always a few easy wins. I could cut that expense, or I could add that up the price even, or I could add a newsletter with that thing, which would be hardly any effort. The same operator could definitely turn that weekly thing into a weekly newsletter, or that blog post that's going up as content on the website. Let's start collecting subscribers with a free thing on the front end of the website. So a few little tweaks usually, but not ongoing massive workload, but just some easy wins. I like to grow it a bit. If I do 2 or 3 things that brings that payback period down from 2 years to 1 year, it's worth a few weeks work, isn't it? So do that, figure everything out, and then go shopping again. So it's really building a portfolio. You need more than one of these, I think. But it's nice if they all are on the same platforms or in the same industry or in some way relate to each other a little bit. So the one I'm doing today has absolutely nothing in common with the guitar one I did, which was a WordPress site, is the last deal. But the one I'm doing today does fit in with the others really nicely. So that's good. And there's no extra staff to hire. It's basically turnkey business, one new supplier relationship who provides a service for it, and that's on contract and all locked in. So I would just take over that agreement. So a few introductions, make sure the handover's smooth, the takeoff is nice and quick, and then settle it in and set up your reporting as well. It's really important to track if things are going as they should be, and you've got some kind of feedback loop. So every Tuesday morning, all the different business units, whoever runs them, not me, pings me on Skype. And my Tuesday morning, I wake up, they're all overseas pretty much. Every Tuesday morning, I wake up and go, this one's made $2,200 this week, and here are the 2 or 3 stats I need to know. So every week I get like a live update and I know roughly what they should be. So if something's off, I know straight away. And those operators know that if something's off, they'll need to come and tell me what they think they're going to do or why they think it's gone so well or whatever. So it's been really, really good. I haven't had any go wrong. When I help students do this, I do a one-on-one deal review. So we give you one-on-one feedback of a business you think you might look at buying, just to make sure you've kind of got some second opinion, not a legal opinion or anything. It's not And the bigger the deal, you'd probably want a couple of extra bits of input as well. Like, I'm not an accountant and everybody's accounting rules and systems are different. So if it's a huge deal, if you're going out to buy $1 million business, I would say get, somebody to really review that contract before you sign it, rather than just the standard terms of the flipper contract or whatever, or get an accountant to really go through those financials, or even a due diligence expert, someone like Due Dilio, who specialize in online business due diligence. They could do the full review if you're about to buy a big software company and you need to make sure you actually own that code, or that's the appropriate language it's written in, or whatever. I don't know. Software stuff's a bit hardcore for me. So I don't do big deals that scare me. I just do lots of little ones and they all add up. So no one deal really terrifies me. If one had a wibble or faltered, I'd be okay. But I pretty much have got them all going pretty steadily and growing them and adding to them the whole time. And the cash flow coming out of this portfolio lets me go out and buy more, or just sit and enjoy the income. So it's a very nice feeling. I've worked so hard in those businesses I bought. It was so hard. And then this has been so easy and so quick. You look at a business, you can own it the next week. It's brilliant. And you don't have to wait. You don't have all those 4 years of growth mode and weekends and nights and errors that, trial and error, but lots of errors, lots of dead ends, lots of work that never gets paid back. You run some Facebook ads, cost you time, it costs you money, they didn't convert. Well, try something else. So you've got so much energy as an entrepreneur. You kind of give and push into your business and trying to get it humming along and growing and profitable, and all the time probably keeping down the day job. And it's really hard. And I think this could just be an easier way for those that it appeals to. It's not for everyone. That's definitely the case. If it's the first thing you've ever done and you're really stretched financially and time-wise, it's going to be pretty hard for you to get into this as a strategy. But if you've got a bit more time on your hands or a bit more cash and you haven't got anywhere better to invest it at the moment, which is certainly the case, I haven't got anything better I could invest my cash into at the moment. Property market here is grim. We won't talk about crypto. I could start building more businesses, but that takes so much bandwidth. You can only do one or two of those at a time, really. And then, actually the best investment at the moment is my children's education, really, like fees for schools, and my time is actually the best thing I could invest in right now. And then, that makes me feel good and keeps everybody humming along well in the family. But I couldn't, I've got some money in different share market, big funds in the States and some here, and I put some money in Microsoft just before ChatGPT took off. So I could pretty much retire on that maybe if it keeps going at this rate. Sadly, not enough. I should have put more in, but, it was easy with hindsight. But anyway, I do a little bit of sort of dabbling with different types of asset class, but this is definitely the best payoff by miles. And it's fun. I really enjoy it. It gives you that full highs of the entrepreneurial life, but without as much of the hard work and risk. So I think it's a cracking system. Really, really enjoying it and really enjoying helping others get into it.
Yeah, I hear that. And I hear the stewardship behind, like, you have a coach and you're coaching others. Like, that's essentially what we're, why we're putting out the podcast and things like that. Like, how can we attract and help others along the way? And I really love the skill sets you've outlined here. They are things we see in the real estate space a lot of times, with creative terms for negotiation, relationship building. Some of these things that if you're going to work on something, work on those soft skills. This is, at the end of the day, some person that's worked their tail off, like you said, to build this business, or, gotten it to where it is, and it's time for them to have a payday. And how can you guys make this a win-win on terms? And I can just see how this could be super fulfilling and a really cool business activity. Yeah. And
you meet really interesting people. Those vendors have done something successful. It's a really privileged peek inside what they've built. Even the ones that don't go ahead, I always learn something and thank them for their time. And sometimes you just something that's taken anyone's time, but there's always so much learning in this process too, and meeting really quality people who've built something successful. Good on them. Good people to talk to all day.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you maybe mentioned or alluded to more of the mistakes or lesson learning in your building of the business, but I do want to try to pull out, in this space of buying online businesses that you've really outlined well, what are the slip ups? What are the mistakes you've made, the things you would do differently that maybe you've expressed them, but what are some of those things that you could express?
They've pretty much, quite proud to say, have worked as I'd anticipated they would when I looked at them to buy. I wouldn't, again, buy things I'm not interested in. I think that's just, you've always got lots more to do than you can possibly do. And the ones you're not interested in just always slide down the list. So that would be one point.
So Sophie, you're not just, and I think it's important to say, like, you're not just so like, hey, does this make money? Does this hit my financial metrics? You're really putting a even weight on your interest level and like kind of some of the criteria, the no's that you mentioned. And obviously it has to hit your metric, which I want to dive into that quick too. You're talking most of these are 1 year, 2 year on like a cash investment. So I mean, when I'm hearing that as a real estate investor, we're looking at a lot of real estate investments, 10 to 20%. And you're talking, if I invest $100,000 in a business, you're expecting 50 type of, after 2 years, my $100,000's back and I still own the asset. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty that. And in New Zealand at the moment, our interest rates are 8% or so. And there is not one profitable investment business building out there that I could go and buy. And my money's tied up. There's all that interest to the bank. One point on the online businesses, the banks won't really lend to you on them. So you pretty much cash buyers. You can get a bit creative. Sometimes there's maybe like a bit of an earn-out management buyout type thing. I've never done one of those. Some businesses will be SBA eligible. That's very helpful if you're eligible for that. I'm not based over here. So I've bought all mine kind of cash with lots of vendor finance and really big discounts on price, because I've made it really clear from that first communication with the vendor, I'm going to be great to deal with. I'm going to make your handover and your life really easy and nice. I'm good for the money. I want a really good price and really good terms, and in which case we'll do a good deal. So I can't do 10 all up front, but I can do 10 in part payments if I wanted over a year, which I think is sort of the rate I'm going at.
Gotcha.
So I think.
Did it take you a while to get to that point where you can go and have the confidence of saying, hey, this business is 410. I got to believe your offer came in less than 280, but you got it for 280. Like that's I get my real estate brain sitting here saying, well, maybe 10% off, but that's a push, like this is pretty substantial.
There's definitely lots of businesses for sale. And by the time a vendor's mentally got their head around the fact they're selling, the brokers whoop them up. Yeah, it's awesome. Here's your information memorandum. Here's the prospectus. Here's the valuation. The broker's really excited because they get their commission when it sells. But actually, there's far more buyers out there. So the people selling are really struggling to close these deals. And so if you turn up looking really straightforward, my metrics on, say, my Flipper or my Empire Flipper profile, the buyers now see I'm a serious buyer. I've done 10 transactions totaling X hundred of thousands. So they take me seriously, which is good. And it's partly just being taken seriously by the vendor that you're actually going to do the deal. There's so many time wasters or competitors being nosy or daydreamers. It's really annoying and rude for the vendor. So I get the broker working on my side to close the deal. They don't care what the price is because their commission doesn't really vary that much. But if the thing drags on for 6 months over the last 10% of the sale price, the broker doesn't care about that. They just want it done in the next listing. So I get the broker cracking on with the pace. We all want this done. What do we need to do if there is a broker in the middle? And I just use those soft skills a lot. So a lot of my coaching is around dealing with the vendor. It's things like when the vendor checks you out, what are they going to see about you on LinkedIn? Is this someone they want to trust you're going to pay those next installments and not break their business and run it into the ground? As a vendor, do you look credible to do vendor finance? Sorry, as a buyer, are you credible for this vendor to give you finance to buy this thing? So even if you haven't done a business sale before, it's just coming across as professional and respectful and just organized and, really clear what your questions are, not just sort of fishing around, looking lost. Nobody wants to be dealing with that sort of person. So getting quite snappy on the calls, but, snappy answers, snappy questions, move it along briskly, a bit of momentum and then done. And you have these conversations, you sort of future pace the vendor, I want to take this over. This is how we do the team. This is going to be the impact on the staff. Do they all know? There's all these questions to ask. And then the vendors sort of just like, oh, I can't be bothered to start all this again with someone else.
Yes,
And
yeah.
it's really nice, and the business is going to be in good hands, and I get the cash tomorrow. That sounds good. All these things just help tip it over in your favor. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of the negotiation styles are really different from mine, but I couldn't actually change mine because it's sort of partly personality and sort of values driven, but it works really well. And most of the people selling businesses at my size that I'm buying, they're not big corporates or anything. They're other single entrepreneurs who, like me, have built from scratch, and I know where they're at. So, we talk each other's language and we can bond, and I help them get onto their next business that they want to focus on. They've usually got 6 things on the go.
Yeah.
They want a dollop of cash to back their winner. And this
Cool.
one's like the old boring one that they're bored of with their short attention spans.
That makes so much sense. And it's just such a cool perspective. And Sophie, you said number 1 on the list was to read your book. And that's not just a self-plug. I really think that there's information in there that you've outlined that's kind of in one place where people can really soak that in. So I want to end the episode by just making sure people know you have this amazing book, and how can people get a hold of you, understand what you're up to if they're looking for help, and obviously find your book.
Brilliant. Thanks, Cal. So my website is aspiringentrepreneurs.com, which is a bit of a mouthful to spell and type. So aspiringentrepreneurs.com, and on there the course is called Freedom Navigator. So there's some free bits and bobs. You can do a profiling quiz and the free books on there as well. And that's the place to get started. And we do various sort of online trainings and things, so you can figure out if it's right for you before you take it any further. And then in the program we do some sort of online self-taught modules, and then we have a live group call every week. I do one-on-one deal reviews once you get close to finding your deal, and give you feedback on that. And then we just have different guest speakers and experts come in talking about the tech side of things, or a different broker will come in and share stuff they've seen that works, or someone who's successful selling businesses talks through what they do and why. And, just like lots of different perspectives within that industry. What's the best practice in copywriting, or what's happening with AI and Google, just try and keep everything current for the current members. And I share lots of deals over my shoulder. So probably every second week for the last couple of months, I've been doing sort of blow by blow debriefs on various negotiations and how they're going and what I'm asking and what the vendors come back with and why I like the deal and where we're settling and how we're coming up with a methodology for the value and things like that.
Awesome. And that is awesome resources. If you're curious about getting into this, aspiringentrepreneurs.com. Sophie, it's been so cool jamming with you all the way around the world. Love this tech that you're talking about. Love this online mindset you have. And the value you bring is really, I think, changing lives. I mean, people that are listening to this. So thank you for showing up today. And I really appreciate it.
Brilliant.
I'll end our episode asking you, the audience, what's one action step that you can take based on what you heard today? Just one. There's lots out there, but what's that lead domino? Don't wait. Action is key. And if you're currently on your passive income journey, reach out to us. We love to hear your stories. We truly believe that we can better accomplish financial freedom together.
This has been another episode of the Passive 25K podcast with Kyle Reedstrom. If you liked what you heard today, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video so we can get more of these conversations out to people that are curious about starting their passive income journey. And if you are thinking about starting your passive income journey, the next steps are to go to our website at p25kg.com and hit apply. This will get you into our application to join our community called Passive Income University, where you can learn everything there is to know about starting and completing your passive income journey. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll catch you next time for another conversation on the Passive 25K podcast.